Okay, I want to talk about these so-called aliens that are really being pushed. First of all, you're looking at some pictures from NASA over about 30 years ago. I took a drive out there and I was able to actually go up to these parts of the space program, the rockets and the command module, and touch them. You could not do that today, and there's so much security at NASA. They won't let you even get close to it. So, what happened, America? What happened to your space program? Now, I want to show you this as a picture of the heavens and God. And it's a famous picture, and it's always looked upon as the light. God is in that light. And what I find interesting about it, and by the way, that's it's from Gustav Dori's illustration to the Divine Comedy, Dante and Beatrice, gaze upon the highest heavens. I want you to take a look at that picture, and I want you to look at it from a different perspective. And that perspective would be that of an exhaust plume from a ship or a craft going up. And then it makes something completely different. Now, what I find interesting is there was a gentleman in the time before World War I and during and after. His name, he was a Russian scientist. His name was Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov. And he was a biologist, and he was trying to create a human-ape hybrid by artificially inseminating apes with human sperm. And rumor has it, he used his own. Rumor has it that he was successful, although official story says he was not. He had to be stopped. They closed this guy down. They closed his research down and destroyed everything he was doing. The question I have is, if this guy was doing this pre-World War I, which is almost 100 years ago, or about 100 years ago, what do you think they're doing nowadays in some of those secretive bases underground? And could they have created some creatures during World War II, similar to what this guy was doing, to cover up what they're doing? And on top of it, you have advanced animatronics as well. And it would be the perfect cover story for a lot of things. The other thing I want to point out is, as I've done in some of those previous videos on Vimanas and shapeshifters and the Chronides and the space program, I think there was a lot of technology left on this planet from Atlantis, and they were advanced. And just like I don't have a space shuttle in my backyard and you don't either, there probably would have been a limited amount of that. But I would bet that those who are private corporations or military have gotten their hands on a lot of this and keep it quiet, and they re-engineer it. And that's why you have, an Apollo program and the space shuttle looking exactly like a Vimana described in the ancient Hindu religion. So I'm not really going to be buying 100% all of this ancient or these aliens and all of that, and at this time I have to see some proof. And just knowing how sneaky some people can be and downright evil, I just wouldn't even be surprised or demented that something got created in a lab, either biologically or as animatronics, to cover for a lot of things. And if this guy was doing this kind of nonsense and rumored to be successful in the early 1900s, what do you think they've done now? Now, it's interesting to me that the Soviets also had a space program, and I don't know enough about their names, but most of them could have relation to the names of the planets, which is probably normal because you're naming it after the planets, but those planets are also named after the Chronides as well. What's interesting to me is that the Soviets had no problem putting women in space with the men at the same time. but the Americans would not. And those American astronauts were Freemasons. They didn't want any women because women can't be Freemasons on some of these earlier missions, especially when they were claiming to go to the moon. The Russians had no problems putting women in space with the men at the same time. So really, what was going on? Um, I'm not going to full blown say it was a fraud, or hoax. I definitely think they got out there, and who knows what they found or what was covered up or how far they went. But I find it strange that the Russians had no problem putting women in space. The Germans were about ready to do it, and they couldn't allow that. For some reason, they can't seem to allow Europe to go very far. And they always have a war going on there when they tend to get too united and too advanced. And I'd like to know why that is as well. In fact, after World War II, the Vatican, through Operation Paperclip, helped bring a lot of the German scientists over that basically created the American space program, and also brought a lot of these Nazis into Argentina as well. And I want to know why the Vatican has not been charged as an enemy combatant and a traitor to America for doing this. And the fact that the allegedly Nazis infiltrated the CIA. Do I believe that Nazis run things now? No, because Nazis worked with the Jews to create Israel through the 1933 transfer agreement. So something is off there as well. And then they worked with the Catholic Church through their rat lines to bring allegedly Hitler into Argentina, as documented by the FBI. So what is going on here on this planet? I'm not going 100% with this alien theory. I think there's a lot of deception. I think that the human race got to a certain point where they had spacecraft. They were advanced in Atlantis. Unfortunately, that society collapsed due to some kind of a geological situation. But I'm sure there was a lot of that technology all over the planet that has been recovered or is being hidden, and definitely is being hidden from the public. And religion is used to control the masses. Your religion and your mythologies are all about the cult of Zeus and the Cronides. It's time for you to face the facts and start asking some questions. Okay, that is my thoughts on this whole alien situation. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's a psyops, but it sure seems to intersect with all of this technology, a lot of this hybridization, animatronics, the space program, covering things up. The Germans working with the Americans, working with the Jews, working with the Vatican, and nobody in Russia, in Europe, is ever allowed to go anywhere. I mean, at this point, why doesn't Europe have a space program? I mean, it's just, what is going on this planet? Who is controlling things? And we have to ask those questions. We have to get quite vocal about it, to the point where people are exposed, and some of them really need to be brought to justice for the crimes that they've done on this planet. Okay, so that's it for now. On my thoughts on questioning whether aliens are real, or if it's a very craftily designed psyops. Thank you.